Hey guys, Skithcon here with part 2 of our Let's Play Cyanote video series. Last time we just got started, met the characters, and not a huge amount happened. We saw Fuminori get invited to a ski trip, ask his hospital psychiatrist about Dr. Ogai, and then return home to a mysterious voice saying, "Welcome home." So, what's going to happen next? Let's find out. Welcome home. As I open the door, a bright voice greets me from the kitchen. Clear as a bell, the voice is undeniably human. The moment it reaches my ears, it flushes the day's terrible voices and discordant sounds from my memory. I'm home, Saya. Even the patter of feet coming down the hallway is music to my ears. Nowhere else in the city can I hear such footsteps. Only in this house, with Saya, am I so privileged. You're late. I was a little worried. Sorry, I had to stop by the hospital today. Oh, that was today. In her smile, in the quizzical tilt of her head, is everything that I have lost. Since my accident, this girl is the only person I've met, perhaps the only person in the world, who does not trigger my cognitive disorder. True, her skin seems too white, and the color of her eyes and hair is probably different in reality. Even so, her form is clearly, undeniably human. And it's not just her appearance. Even her voice and her... As I bend down to take off my shoes, Saya, as always, wraps her arms around my neck and pulls me gently into her tiny bosom. Her skin feels truly human, neither cold nor slimy, and from her hair wafts the sweet fragrance of a young girl. I really love this music, by the way, just throwing that out there. This song is the Song of Saya that the game is named for, by the way, so now you know. In all the world, only Saya is pleasing to my five senses. And what's more, she smiles at me, embraces me. She knows that she is my salvation, and for some reason is happy that I need her. If I had not met her, if I had been all alone in this twisted, filth-ridden world, I would no doubt have quickly succumbed to true madness. It is no exaggeration to say that Saya alone is keeping me alive. What did you do today? Worked on the living room. The painting is half done. And now I'm making your dinner, like I learned from the TV. Sounds good. It'll take a little longer. Can you wait? Sure. I'll do some more work in the living room. After watching the humming Saya return to the kitchen, I enter the living room. Beautiful sight. I realized one day that if the natural colors of the world are sickening, all I have to do is paint over them with colors that seem pleasant. After I bought every kind of paint in the hardware store, Saya and I started trying out different combinations. It should go without saying that after painting the bedroom from ceiling to floor, I was finally able to get my first good night's sleep since the accident. When we first started on the living room, Saya, unsure what to do with the curtains, had just painted carefully around the windows. Without hesitating, I tore the curtains down and painted over the window glass itself. There'll never be anything out there that I'd want to see. And if we keep the rain shutters down, the neighbors probably won't think anything of it. Dinner's ready. Can you bring it in here? As she enters the living room carrying a food tray, Saya sniffs the air. Does the paint smell bother you? Now that she mentions it, I suppose the smell of paint thinner must be building up in this closed room. It doesn't really bother me, though. There are far worse smells outside. Does it bother you, Saya? No, I'm fine if you are. Saya sets the food on the table. Unfortunately, neither its color nor its smell is all that appetizing. Not that eating elsewhere is any different. Thanks for the food. As has become my custom, I steel myself and methodically transport the food into my mouth. The taste is as gut-wrenching as I expected, but it's not Saya's fault. I'm sure she made it exactly like the cooking show said. It's just that my taste buds can't accept it. It's not good? Well, no. I didn't mention before, but probably the reason that I love this game so much as I do, if I can even call it a game really, is just how maddened the protagonist is, really. And how, despite everything that he is driven to, he remains a sympathetic character. Or at least I think he remains a sympathetic character. You might have a different opinion. But, I have never watched Breaking Bad, but I actually hear this game is fairly similar to that in terms of how it presents the protagonist. I'm not sure how much truth there is to that, of course, since, again, haven't seen the show, but who knows? Lying about these things won't make Saya happy. She knows about my condition. Yeah, that must suck when all your food is shitty. Don't worry about it. I'll make something different tomorrow. Sorry, you always go through the trouble of cooking, but It's fine. If I keep trying, maybe I'll find something you'll like. In my current state, eating is nothing more than an unwelcome duty. As much as I hate it, I have to do it to survive. If I stay alive, then perhaps one day, as Saya says, I'll be able to eat something delicious again. I met Saya, didn't I? Are you going to eat? No, I already ate. Even after we started living together, Saya has never once eaten with me. I don't know why she refuses to do so, and it makes me a little sad, but I'm not about to force her. After all, she's putting up with all the eccentricities that are a result of my warped senses. By the way, I asked your father at the hospital again today. I asked about your father at the hospital again today. About Dad. Ogai Masahiko, Saya's father, is her only relative and a professor at the Chi University Medical School. Saya has asked me to unravel the mystery of his disappearance. Like I thought, they wouldn't tell me anything, but I get the feeling they're hiding something. Oh. I expected Saya to be a little more dejected. Aren't you worried about him? No, Saya responds with an unreadable expression. It's not that. She gives a little shake of her head, then smiles at me once again. Thanks for all you're doing for me, Fuminori. You're doing much more for me. I thank her for the meal and set my chopsticks down next to the perfectly clean plates. No matter how it tasted, thinking of the emotion that Saya put into it gives me the strength to finish it. Will you take a bath now? Yeah. Will you wash my back again? Yeah. Ever since Saya moved in, it's been like having a new wife. Saya. Why are you so good to me? Oh dear. There is a lewd scene. This is getting censored. I'm not going to read out the sex sounds too. That's, sorry you guys. Sorry. Saya's slender hips bounce up and down like an insatiable flywheel, each descent thrusting my hard desire deep into the embrace of her hot, tight womb. So lewd. Who could imagine that her slender, seemingly incorruptible body would ever glisten with the hot sweat of passion, or feast on pleasure with such bottomless lust? Saya, my darling Saya, is this really what you want? Why do you go so far? What am I that you can give yourself to me, body and soul? Or is this merely sympathy? Do you pity me, the exile from society? Is that enough for you to surrender yourself to such mad passion? Are you so wanton? She's going mad. As she rides hungrily atop me, she gazes down at me with a bewitching smile and eyes that are utterly devoid of twisted or sinful desire. They're only the melting flames of ecstasy. Her beautiful carnal moans and twisting body seem impossible, dreamlike, and I can't help but wonder if even the pleasure that is burning me from head to toe is but an illusion. Needing to touch her to reassure myself that she is real, I raise my hands to her small breasts and seize them like my life depends on it. Saya immediately convulses, screaming like an animal. That's pretty fucking kawaii. As I roll her sharp pink nipples through my fingers, she throws her head back and gasps for air. Saya is here with me now, and I can only be sure of it for this moment. Only when I am joined with her can I believe. I nod and accelerate the pace of my thrusts. Saya's gasps rise in pitch as her mad dance of passion reaches its peak. Aw, she's so sweet! No matter what cruel fate might await me, Saya, there is nothing I fear more than losing you. As Saya climaxes, convulsing and wailing, I give into her tight embrace and unleash my boiling hot seed into her womb. Japan is, really gifted at writing scenes like this. Saya collapses atop me, still smiling, and I wrap my arms around her. The feeling of her soft, sweat-soaked skin and the warmth emanating from her body reassure me that she is still here. Fuminori, are you crying? I realize that my cheeks are wet with tears. Why, Saya? Why do you go so far for me? Fuminori. I don't understand, but still, I'm losing myself to you more and more. Soon I won't be able to live without you. I wrap my arms tighter around Saya, praying that our bodies will melt together and never again be apart. Tell me, please, how can I keep you with me? What must I do? How can I repay you? Keep holding me, Saya whispers lovingly into my chest. That's really sweet. I want you to make love to me. I want to stay like this forever. I won't leave you, Fuminori. Why? Why me? Because you're all alone, of course. Still in my embrace, Saya gazes up into my eyes. And because I was alone, too. You're all I have, too. In this whole world, only you will embrace me, my precious Fuminori. Now I know. No matter how horrifying the world becomes to me, all I'll ever need is Saya. And we are away from Fuminori's perspective now, so let's see what else is going on. Yo is determined to talk to him today. Nothing will happen as long as she continues to hesitate, and putting it off will only make her suffering last longer. It's time to show courage once again. Yo's fourth period on Thursdays is biology, and this is her one chance to see Fuminori. Because it's a required course with many students, the lecture is held in a large hall that can seat over 200. But since the room is usually only about half full, it's really difficult for Yo to find the seat she wants. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier, this game is written by the same guy who did Madoka Magica. So if you guys have seen that anime, this is, same dude. Yeah, same guy who did Psycho Pass 2, so now you know. Cool author. Yo prefers to sit near the center, where it's easiest to hear the professor. Most of the students congregate in this area for the same reason. Fuminori usually sits next to her, although it's not always possible when there's no seat available. Yo has resigned herself to this as representing the distance still between them, but they still always try to sit as close as possible. The classroom isn't crowded today, so Yo is able to set her bag on the seat next to her without bothering anyone. When the professor arrives at the usual time to start class, however, there's still no sign of Fuminori. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Yo furtively casts her glance around the room. He's there. Fuminori must have come in without her noticing because he's sitting alone in the far back corner of the room. Ah yeah, Fuminori knows what's up, that's the best place to sit. Did he miss Yo when he came in? No, that's impossible. In the first place, no serious student would willingly sit in such an inconvenient place. I was about to take offense to that, but then I realized I suppose I'm not a serious student. Let's go on. Feeling miserable, Yo slides her bag over to herself. Fuminori is out the door the moment class ends, and Yo barely manages to catch up to him before he disappears down the hallway. At the sound of his name, Fuminori stiffens as though he was just bellowed at. What is it? He turns to her and says, though he seems reluctant to do so. Oh yeah, he is not liking what he sees. Still all of the whole meat chunks and meat blob people, so you know. Explains that lovely expression. Now that they're face to face, Yo is painfully aware of how much weight Fuminori has lost. His sunken eyes and protruding cheekbones are a far cry from the features familiar to her. She wonders whether he's under a lot of stress, or perhaps not getting enough nutrition. Maybe it's both. I think there were 3 or 4 times in my life I was sad enough that I just lost 10 pounds accidentally out of nowhere, so cool, you go, Fuminori. Be crazy together. He looks more tense than he should be, like he's irritated or even frightened of something. His eyes move restlessly from point to point, and he refuses to look Yo in the eye. Just looking at him makes Yo's chest ache with sadness. What could have changed him so? Today, she reminds herself, relighting the flame of courage in her heart. I have something to talk to you about. Do you have some time? It's the outside of the school. The courtyard is empty and silent, no one willing to sit on a bench and chat in the cold November air. So what is it? Don't you remember? Yo almost blurts out, but she manages to keep herself from being so blunt. You've been acting strange recently. I'm worried about you. Ah, she's kawaii too. Well, of course, she's an anime girl, you know? That's how it is. Maybe you're right. A lot's happened after all. He smiles like it's nothing, but even that seems stiff and forced. He's even standing precisely 1 pace farther away than he used to while talking to her. Is that really all? Do you think there's something more? Yo manages to keep from flinching at the hardness in his voice. It's like you're struggling with something. Rather than answer, Sakisaka grinds his tone to the dead grass at his feet. Fearing that her determination might flag, Yo lets the words come as they may. It's like you're trying to bear some unimaginable weight, but the struggle is breaking you. That's how you look to me. Oh really? Fuminori mutters through clenched teeth, no longer even trying to deny it or change the topic. This brush-off is an even clearer sign of rejection than his earlier evasiveness. But Yo's determination is strong. Today, at least, she won't back down. It's times like this, she implores, trying to convey the sincerity of her feelings for him, that you need your friends. I really feel bad about what happened to your family. But you're not alone. You have Tono-kun and Omi-chan and... Oh, I really love this audio filter, that's great. I don't know if you guys are able to hear that through me talking over it, but, sounds cool. And you have me. So cute. Yo can no longer stop the words from pouring out. She fears that if she does not release all of the myriad emotions pent up inside her, they'll be lost forever. I think we can help you, so that you don't have to carry everything by yourself. Even if we can't do anything, talking to us might make you feel a little better. I want to help you, Seka. The others all feel the same. Stop it, Fuminori shouts, silencing Yo's entreaty. She had promised herself that she wouldn't back down, but Fuminori's expression was terrible enough to shatter her resolve. The look in his eyes is not anger or any other warm-blooded emotion. It is hate. Murderously cold hate. Oh yeah, I just remembered that I still haven't given you an answer. He remembers, yet he has still treated her with such coldness. That alone is more than enough of an answer for Yo. If his words tear her heart to shreds any further, she won't be able to bear it. I never saw you in any particularly special way before. When you expressed your feelings for me, I wasn't sure how to respond. I didn't know how I really felt about you, after all. But now I can give you a clear answer. I've had plenty of time to think it over, you know. Tsukuba, I hate you. I don't even want to look at you. I mustn't cry, Yo tells herself, but too late to stop the tears from pouring from her eyes. I suppose it's too much to hope that I never see you again. We do go to the same school. So would you at least mind never talking to me again? I'm quite sick of you. So I think this game is a really good demonstration in particular of how trauma or feeling alienated leads to just becoming a huge dick. That's, to some extent, a thing I'm rather familiar with, so I think that is largely the reason why I still find Fuminori a sympathetic character despite him acting like this, but yeah, there you go. How can you be so... Yo inadvertently whispers, to which Fuminori twists his lips into a horribly cruel smile. You should calm down a little, seriously. I bet you were just egged on by Omi and Koji, right? You can play at having a crush all you want, but leave me out of it. Yeah, that's the smile of someone who pretty much only has hatred keeping him alive. So, woo. That's all Yo can take. Even after shedding tears in front of him, she absolutely refuses to let him hear her cry. Any disgrace would be preferable to breaking down here. So she runs, fleeing breathlessly from the courtyard with Fuminori smiling coldly at her back. Omi was the first to catch sight of Yo and Fuminori leaving for the courtyard. Reluctant to interrupt them, but still unwilling to leave them alone, Koji and Omi ended up watching the whole thing from the shadows. That asshole. Who, me? Throughout the exchange, Omi was clearly itching to jump out and punch Fuminori in the face. Knowing her temper, Koji kept firm hold of her sleeve until the end. If he hadn't, she might very well have done it. Fuminori leaves after Yo, his every step seeming to take an act of willpower. Koji sighs heavily into the once more empty courtyard, but the bitter taste in his throat won't go away. What's wrong with him? Even for Koji, Fuminori's treatment of Yo is unforgivable. However, the first thing that he feels is confusion. Koji and Fuminori are old friends, having known each other since before college. As far as Koji knows, Fuminori has never been so cruel before. There's no question that the accident changed him. Koji, are you just going to let this go? I don't want to, but what can we do? Something better than peeping, Omi shouts, clearly infuriated. I won't be satisfied until I give him a piece of my mind. That won't make Tsukuba feel better. But it'll at least make me feel better. I like that. Omi's cool. Yo and Omi are best friends, just like Koji and Fuminori, and it was the relationship between Koji and Omi that brought Fuminori and Yo together. Just as it is natural for Omi to be worried about her friend, it is also natural for her to be angry with Fuminori. I'm going to talk to Sakisaka by myself. You don't have to come. You serious? You go take care of Yo. She's probably really hurt. After she's finished crying, she'll need someone to be nice to her. Wait, shouldn't we switch jobs? You know my personality. If I try to comfort her, I'll just end up making it a lot worse. That, I can sympathize with that, yeah. You go Omi. Yeah, you have a point. What's that supposed to mean? Anyway, just don't go too far. Ending the conversation before Omi's mood gets any worse, Koji heads off to find Yo. I feel awful, miserable, but also refreshed. I finally crossed the line. I knew it would come crashing down like this sooner or later. Having become unable to feel anything but disgust for other people, there was no way I could hope to maintain the relationships I'd had before the accident. Today's incident will definitely get back to Koji and Omi, and everyone will be convinced that Sakisaka Fuminori has had a major change of character. Honestly, I don't care anymore. At least I probably won't be institutionalized for this. I just need to avoid acting any stranger than I already have. If this puts a rift between me and the others, good. Just thinking about the stress I'll avoid makes me feel like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders. I'm fed up with them sticking their noses into my life. It's like they don't care that they make my gut turn just by being near me. So I haven't been quite in this position, but I totally understand the whole, spite being the only thing keeping you from suicide bit, which is, fun. Great. Absolutely wonderful. But yeah, I figure that is what Fuminori is going through right here. With, clearly his life is not in a great position right now, other than Saya existing. I've been terrified of them until now, but today I struck fear into one of them. On one hand, thinking about this is a relief, but I'm not entirely without remorse for what happened. The person I just chased off with the verbal equivalent of a nuclear bomb used to be my friend Yo. Even if my senses don't believe it, my mind accepts the theory. I don't have any particular grudge against Yo herself, and I didn't want to hurt her. In retrospect, perhaps I should have just outright refused to talk to her. Yo, she was an attractive woman, and I certainly didn't think badly of her. To be honest, I was annoyed when Koji and Omi tried to stick us together for the fun of it. I felt like I was being toyed with, and Yo seemed totally oblivious to the fact that she was dancing to their tune. Her cluelessness was irritating. That said, I knew that none of them meant any harm. Back then, I didn't have any reason to hurt others just to get my way. If having a casual relationship with Yo would keep our circle of friends together, I was willing to make that compromise. Now, however, there's no room in my heart for the tolerance necessary to just go with the flow. Fuminori's so calculating, I love him. If merely talking to someone is an unbearable ordeal, how can I be expected to show kindness? These ruminations have left me exhausted. I want to return to Saya as soon as possible, but thinking about the packed trains and crowded downtown streets between here and home saps my will. Catching sight of a nearby bench, I sit down and close my eyes to the horrors of the world. I can't do anything about the stink or the noise, but I can at least manage to calm my nerves enough to rest. When I regained consciousness in the T University hospital ward, the world was as dark as it is now. I hadn't regained my sight even though my eyes and optical nerves were fine. It must have been an after effect of the accident. Blindness was a shock, but now I know that my suffering then was nothing. After all, my senses of hearing, touch, taste, and smell were all fine at the time. The real tragedy began when my sight returned. The one small mercy was that I was able to come to terms with the terrible accident and my neurosurgery while still blind. I panicked when I first saw the nightmarish hospital and the blood-curdling shapes of the doctors and nurses, but I soon guessed the cause. That's fortunate. It chills me to think of what might have happened if I had recovered my sight along with my consciousness. Suddenly awakening in what can only be described as hell, I would have no doubt lost my mind instantly. Soon my disorder spread to the senses of touch, taste, and smell. In the human sensory structure, sight is far more powerful than any of the other senses. The taste of my food, the feel of my bedsheets, the fragrance of my Ganwell flowers, all became as unbearably foul as my eyes said they should be. Eventually, when the voices of the doctors became unrecognizable as human, I decided to kill myself. I didn't believe for a second that I could come to terms with this new world. At least, not until I met Saya. One night when I was trying to think of a painless way to die, I found myself succumbing to sleep. Drifting between the nightmares in my dreams and the nightmare of reality, I didn't notice her enter my room. Suddenly, there was a face staring curiously down at me from next to my bed. The face was not covered in pus, slime, or earthworm-like feelers. It had smooth white cheeks, round eyes, a lovely little nose, all things I had never expected to see again. The face was that of a girl, undeniably human and positively glowing with beauty. I sighed in admiration, savoring the first peace and joy since regaining my sight. Apparently, she had not expected such a reaction. Aren't you afraid of me? Looking at the clock, I saw that it was exactly 3 in the morning, not a time for a young girl to be wandering around a hospital. Even someone with no imagination would likely have thought her a ghost. I, however, wouldn't have cared if she had been a ghost. Either way, she was a godsend. I'm curious if you guys have figured out what's going on. Let's keep going though, because you will see eventually. Who are you? Why are you here? I'm Saya. I'm looking for my dad. I assumed that she was the daughter of one of the night shift nurses or other patients. It was unusual but not unthinkable for such a child to be wandering around. Rather, it was the hospital security's fault for not locking the doors properly. It's no fun if you're not scared. Wait, I cried, desperate to keep her from leaving. It was only after she turned around that I realized I hadn't thought of what to do next. Well? Her eyes drew me into their depths, healing my soul to its core. Through the white haze clouding my mind, I struggled to form a coherent sentence. I shouldn't do this to a girl, but you're the only one I can ask. No longer concerned with propriety, I felt the words come pouring out of my mouth. Will you let me hold your hand? Saya first looked confused, but then smiled like she'd found a new toy. Her smile was like the sun. You're strange, she said, holding out her slender white hand. No one's ever asked me anything like that. Ever so carefully, as though catching snowflakes in my hand, I placed my palm against hers. I could clearly feel her human warmth and the softness of her delicate fingers. She was there, just beyond the palm of my hand. Thinking back on the joyful tears I shed then, I know that that was the moment I was saved from my fate. This is the first time in half a month that I've touched someone and felt them as human. I can't touch anyone else. I was in an accident, and as an after effect, I can't see people as human. How mysterious. You're interesting, she said, winding her fingers gently around mine. Can I come back tomorrow night? Yes, of course, but are you alright with that? He's so gentlemanly now. Sure, the night belongs to me. And so our nightly rendezvous began. Saya came to my room every night at 3 a.m., skillfully taking advantage of the duty nurse's shift change. I was astonished to learn that she was living and hiding inside the hospital. It's so big that I never run out of hiding places, she said, answering my surprise with a nonchalant smile. She told me that she had been living in the suburbs with her father, a doctor teaching at the hospital, but had found herself all alone when one day he stopped coming home. After tiring of waiting for her father at home, Saya had decided one night to sneak into the hospital, where she'd lived for over 2 months while searching for his whereabouts. Don't you have to go to school? No, Dad taught me everything I need to know. I'm really smart, you know. She was a strange girl. While she looked and talked like an innocent child, she also had the ability to hide from adults and feed herself. Perhaps her lack of common sense was due to her youth, but the sharp intelligence and deep knowledge she periodically exhibited were not those of a child. But such minor things were of no concern to me. To me, Saya was the only other human in a world gone mad. Her existence meant far more to me than the standards of society. Isn't it dangerous here? Have you ever thought you might be found? Nope, never. I don't have to worry about finding food here, and it's a lot more fun than staying in Dad's house by myself. I looked through the patient list and found the ones who have mental problems, Saya continued, grinning mischievously. Sometimes I sneak into their rooms late at night and scare them. Even if they raise a big fuss, no one believes what mental patients say. They just brush it off as a bad dream. That's really cute. That's... wow. Cutest ever. Her confession reminded me that the hospital was famous for its ghost stories. You could have imagined that there was actually a real girl impishly roaming these hallways. So that's why you came to my room at first. Yeah. Sorry, are you mad? While her pranks were hardly praiseworthy, I couldn't bring myself to scold her for the very thing that had brought us together. You shouldn't do it anymore. Will you come talk to me at night instead? Yeah, that's more fun for me too. That's a nice-looking hospital bed Fuminori's got there. With extreme care, I was able to conceal my sensory disorder. It was glaringly obvious that the doctors had no way to cure me, and the fact that I had just undergone a new treatment, clearly still in the trial and error stage, made me even more cautious. How much interest would the doctors show in a patient exhibiting such an unusual side effect? As a medical student, it was easy for me to examine the clinical coldness of the researchers. For the sake of my dignity, I was not about to become a pitiful guinea pig. And so I hid my everyday discomfort and loathing behind a mask of normalcy, convincing the doctors that any signs of stress were merely a result of hospitalization. Saya was my support. Looking forward to her nightly visits was the only thing that gave me the strength to overcome my daily torture. Having hope can make an enormous difference in a patient's progress. With the aid of my secret nurse, I recovered at a pace that left the doctors stunned. On the last night before my release, I summoned my courage and asked her, "Are you going to stay in this hospital forever?" Yeah, I couldn't learn anything about my dad, but I don't have anywhere else to go. I guess I'll stay as long as I can hide. In other words, she had no reason to stay either. I decided to take the plunge, timidly asking, "Why not stay at my house?" My family's gone, so I have plenty of rooms. You won't need to hide, and it's not a bad place to live. You want me to live with you? I didn't have the courage to ask her what she thought of that, so I hastily offered a deal. In exchange, I'll help you look for your father. I'll find him no matter what. I think that'll be hard, Saya said, looking a little embarrassed. Dad probably did something bad and had to leave the hospital. We can't get the police involved. You'll have to be as discreet as possible. I'll do whatever it takes. Unable to control myself, I finally spoke the truth. I don't want to be apart from you. At first she looked bewildered, but after considering it, she said, "Give me a little time to think." That said, she left my room earlier than usual. That must have been a rough day, just wondering if she would show up or not. On the day of my release, I managed to smile as I accepted the hideous, foul-smelling celebratory bouquet. The flesh beasts calling themselves Koji, Yo, and Omi came to pick me up. They had come to see me any number of times during my stay, but it never got easier to see my old friends changed so horribly. My sudden tears of despair drew suspicion, but I managed to explain them away as tears of joy. As we walked through to Koji's cars through the halls, lobby, and parking lot, I desperately averted my eyes from the grotesque world and looked for Saya. but she was nowhere to be seen. I stared through the car window at the hospital fading in the distance, praying for a last glimmer of hope. But Saya never appeared. After Koji and the others dropped me off in front of the house I'd grown up in, I took another look at my surroundings. I'd never moved, having lived my entire life in this one house. There had been no other place for me to call home, but now everything had mercilessly changed. As I walked from the gate to the front door, I looked over the garden and trees. I had many memories of childhood there, and I could feel them being defiled by the twisted, festering shapes before me. There was nothing familiar left in the house, nothing to evoke fond memories. What I had once called home was now a whole other world. I have no home, I whispered with a smile of self-pity. Ascending to the second floor, I found my room utterly unrecognizable. And sitting on the bed, curled up like an abandoned cat, was Saya. As I stood there in shock, she looked timidly up at me and in a tiny, weak voice said, "Can I really stay?" I responded by sweeping her into my arms, embracing her tightly so that she wouldn't escape. Saya did not resist. So there's our flashback on how Fuminori and Saya met. Having arrived in front of the Sakisaka house, Omi takes a deep breath to calm her nerves. Her anger doesn't abate, of course, but she knows that it won't help to be so enraged that she can't even say what she came to say. While waiting for a response from the intercom, she looks over the patch of yard that she can see from outside the gate. Even Omi isn't sensitive enough to complain about other people's housekeeping, but this is beyond the pale. The grass is growing wildly, and there are piles of dead leaves everywhere. It doesn't just look untended, it looks like an uninhabited ruin. It's still light out, but every window has its rain shutters tightly sealed. Omi guesses that they weren't just shut early, but have been closed since morning. Just what kind of life is he leading? Even if he no longer has a family, this level of negligence is going too far. And is it just her imagination, or does something stink like rotten meat? It couldn't be coming from the yard, could it? There's still no response, so she presses the buzzer again, and again, and again. Eventually, after this has gone on for over 10 minutes, Omi loses her patience and opens the cover of the intercom. As she expected, the power has been disconnected. Maybe Fuminori cares more about not being bothered by newspaper deliveries or solicitors than about receiving the rare guest, but regardless, Omi doesn't presume to know his motivations. With her anger reignited by what she can only see as the lack of respect for others, she roughly pushes open the gate and stomps through the yard to the front door. Given the state of his intercom, she doubts that Fuminori will respond to a knock, so Omi decides to simply open the door and go in shouting. And if the door is locked, she'll just have to... Surprisingly, the doorknob turns easily in her hand, and the enraged Omi finds herself throwing the door open wider than she intended. Her nostrils are instantly assaulted by a choking stench. What is this? As Omi stands petrified, the cowbell hanging on the inside of the door chimes loudly, probably alerting Fuminori to the presence of a visitor. Welcome home. Now you guys have figured it out. Omi can't believe the voice that she just heard coming from the room at the end of the hall. It was clearly inhuman, yet its intonation was too complex to have been made by an animal. Is someone there? There is no response. Instead, she hears the squishy sound of something soft and wet flopping its way deeper into the house. Finding it difficult to place a meaningful image to the voice she just heard, Omi stares blankly at the empty vestibule. There's nothing inside, not even Fuminori's shoes, which can only mean that he's still outside somewhere, wearing them. If Fuminori isn't home, the house should be empty. Then, what was that noise just now? Ah yeah, we horror now. Her anger has vanished as if it were never there. Leaving the door open so that the cowbell won't ring, Omi sets foot into the hallway. The floor creaks, setting her nerves on edge. Omi herself isn't sure why she's sneaking around like a burglar, but something tells her to make as little noise as possible. The potency of the stink inside the house makes the whiff she caught outside pale in comparison. It's sickening, like piles of fish guts have been left to rot. Has food been left to spoil in the kitchen? She also notices a sound coming from the end of the hallway. Stepping gingerly on the creaking floorboards, Omi makes her way to the end of the hallway. She finds rooms to both sides of her, one lit, the other dark, and chooses to look into the lit room. It's the kitchen, lit by what must be the only window in the house not covered by a storm shutter. The sound she heard was the pot boiling on the stove, and on the chopping board next to it lie a butcher's knife and some half-diced carrots. A perfectly normal household scene, with the light of the setting sun making everything the color of overripe, decomposing fruit. Oh, Saya's making carrots. There's something terribly wrong, of course. Who was cooking here? And just where did they go? Is anyone there? Omi calls, regretting it immediately as she realizes that her voice is shaking uncontrollably. As her words echo vainly through the silent house, she begins to feel foolish and defenseless. Suddenly she feels something cold seeping through her stockings. She timidly reaches down to touch her feet, her fingertips coming away covered with a viscous olive green slime. The slime is like the filthy water from a tank long clogged with algae and dead fish, and the whole floor is covered with it. It must be the source of the stench. Omi wishes that she had worn her shoes inside. Manners are now the farthest thing from her mind. When she looks back ruefully the way she came, she realizes that her current position is not visible from the entrance. This kitchen must be where that strange voice and those sounds of movement came from. The next room must be the den. As she expected from having seen the storm shutters closed, it's pitch black inside. Omi wants nothing more than to turn around and leave the house, but that would mean turning her back to the darkness of that room, something which she cannot bring herself to do. Moved less by reason than by some irrational compulsion, Omi sets foot into the living room. It's too dark to see anything, and the stink is far worse than ever before. She slides her hand along the wall, feeling for the light switch. Finding it much faster than she expected, she flips it on like it's her last hope. Colors. So many colors. That's, Fuminori and Saya's paint job right there. The purple of entrails, the brown of rotten meat, the crimson of fresh blood, the yellow of fat. These colors, and yet more that cannot be described, join in a maddening array to cover every inch of the walls, floor, windows, and ceiling. It's like a painter went over the room with megamaniacal precision, leaving not the tiniest portion untouched. The colors say all that needs to be said about the painter's hate, malice, and insanity. Omi's legs give out from the shock, sending her to the floor. The slime covering the floor immediately soaks her jeans, its cold tendrils creeping up her legs, crotch, and... seen enough hentai to know where this is going. Her neck. Her hand flies to her neck, where it is greeted by another drop of chilly slime. It's above her. Something is dripping down on her head. Making perhaps the worst decision of her entire life, Omi looks up. The predator clinging to the ceiling, mere moments from leaping upon its prey. She sees it, in every detail. Her mouth and nose are sealed before she can scream, and her belly is torn open as something enters to feast on her innards. By the time she feels any of this, Omi has already gone mad. I bit the bullet and tried to take the train, but the rush hour crowds were so bad that I had to get off halfway and walk. I'm running pretty late. I wonder if Saya's worried. I just hope she's not mad. When I enter the yard, I realize that the front door has been left wide open. Light from the living room is seeping out into the hallway, and I hear what sounds like someone smacking their lips, and there's a tantalizing fragrance in the air. Is it Saya? I consider calling out to her, but decide to enter in silence instead. Something smells strange, but not at all unpleasant. The aroma is quite soothing, in fact. It somehow reminds me of Saya's hair. At first I am surprised by what I see in the living room. The floor is covered with what looks to be some kind of grass, probably the source of the herb-like smell, and there are fruit or vegetable-like balls of various sizes scattered everywhere.
Saya.
Saya. Saya turns around, her eyes wide with surprise. She then looks away sheepishly, like a child caught at some prank. What are you eating? She's eating. This is, well, she stammers, so flustered that I feel bad for her. I'm sure you guys have figured out by now that that is Omi there. And that, the reason that Fuminori sees Saya as human is because she is decidedly not human. Yep. Remembering that she has never eaten in front of me before, I realize that she must be quite embarrassed. I suddenly feel like I've done something awful, as if I'm a low-life peeping Tom. Can I have one? I scoop up the closest fruit thing and pop it into my mouth, ignoring Saya's attempt to wave me off. It has a strange texture. It feels soft and pliable, like a peach or pear. When I bite into it with my back teeth, a succulent juice fills my mouth, combined with a sharp, strong fragrance. It's unlike anything I've ever tasted. How did you prepare this? Did you use any seasoning? It wasn't that complicated. I just took it apart and then melted it a little to make it easier to eat. It's practically raw. I pick up a different lump, this one consisting of fruity flesh encasing a hard core. Tearing a chunk off in my mouth, I find that it has a similar taste to the last one. Hey, are you okay? That's, Yeah, even I can eat this. In fact, it's good. So, Saya is a bit weirded out by Fuminori getting into cannibalism, but, whatever, he likes it. Just, go with the flow, right? That's how it works. Really? At first, Saya looks dumbstruck, but soon she starts laughing mirthfully. Oh, so this is what you like. Now I feel stupid for going to all that trouble. Is this what you always eat, Saya? Yeah, though it's been a while since I've had one so big. I usually catch them in places like the nearby park. There's an impressive nature preserve not too far from here. I've never heard anything about fruits like these growing there, but, well, of course, they only look like fruits to me. They're really something else. She hunts at the nature preserve. Sorry, I already ate all the best parts. That's okay. There's always next time, and this means that we can eat together from now on. Yeah. She's so happy. Saya seems really happy. I'm happy too, of course. Eating with someone is much more fun than eating alone, and it makes the food taste better too. There's still plenty left, and it'll keep chilled for 2 or 3 days. It won't taste as good though. Then we'd better start putting it away. Sealing the small fruits in Tupperware and the large ones in pots and bowls, Saya and I store the remaining food in the refrigerator. Thinking of tomorrow's dinner fills me with anticipation. Well, at least, now Fuminori's got a second thing to live for. Go you. Together with Saya, I feel like I'm beginning to regain the joy of living little by little. Saya will guide me. With her, I can live on. True Scary Stories, Hospital Edition. Well, I think that that is a good place to cut off episode 2. I hope you guys are enjoying Sayonara. It's just starting to get weird, but it will, of course, get a lot worse. Hope you guys are ready, and see you next time.